Well, welcome to Modeling Time with me, Brian Banna, and continuing on with the GP30 Rec rebuild into a GP28. In the last video, we got the sill unit all taken care of, the drive and all that. So that's all up to speed, and even with the EMD GP28s. So now everything that I build will be, well, actually not, because the EMD GP28s have the hoods done, or almost done. So I need to get to that point with the GP30 Rec rebuild. Right now, I still have to do the cabs for the EMD GP28s, which I'm making good progress on that. And we got to get the cab, sub base, and nose done for the Rec rebuild. So I want all this to flow together and be completed all at the same time. Now I've got about 2 months to do this, actually 2.5 months to do this in. I'm really going to try hard to get that done. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but let's keep our fingers crossed and maybe that will. So I've got some cue cards here of steps that I needed to accomplish, and I've done that. So let me get the camera set up over here and we'll go over what I've done. Okay, so let's first go over the EMD GP28s, the as delivered, as built GP28s. So, I needed to trim off the headlight housing. I needed to trim off the hump under the headlight, because these are phase 1A ones, or phase 1As, basically. So I needed to make them look like phase 1A. So I needed to trim off the hump under the headlight, because that hump in the beginning was an option for a gyro light. I think after the, I can't remember the phase it was, but I think it's a phase 1B2 maybe, that the hump became standard. I'd have to look that up. So then I needed to cut a channel inside the cab for the LEDs. I need to drill out the light holes to properly fit the LEDs. Then I need to drill holes for the windshield wipers, cut off the door handles, fill horn holes, and then trim the filled horn holes. So we've done all of that to both of these. So let's see, we've got the trim off the headlight housing. Trim off headlight, trim off the front here, the headlight housing on the front. Then we got trim off the hump underneath the headlight. So as you can see there, I've got that all trimmed off. And I had to get, excuse me, a special milling bit for that. Let me zoom in here. Now, for the hump underneath the headlight, it was easy to trim it back with like a 16th inch diameter milling bit, but I couldn't get it all the way down to the face of the cab because I have the window gaskets in there. Let me get my pointer out. So I got the window gaskets in here, and I didn't want to trim out the window gaskets. So I needed to get something in between the window gaskets and the number boards. So I found this outfit, Titan USA, and I got myself a long reach 20 thousandths diameter milling bit. So that now can fit down lengthwise into the area under here without the shank interfering with the number boards, and I can clean the rest of it out. So I used a 16th inch milling bit to get most of the hump away, and then the little bit that was down here by the number boards, I just used this 20 thousandths milling bit and just carefully cut it all out. So now I've got a humpless number board. Next, so we got to cut a channel inside. So we got this channel in here. You see that in there, and that will fit the LED. So this LED I trimmed flat because they have a little bit of a draft angle on them. So that one goes up into the top up there, and then this LED will go in like that. I have to solder these all together and such. And I also have to, I've got the LEDs for this one too. I have to cut this LED down a little bit because it sticks right out at the face, and I want that light bezel that I have, or the light piece, or the headlight glass to fit into here, into the headlight a little bit, so I need to cut those back. The same thing I did on the Pennsylvania Jeep 35. Next is to drill out the light holes. So I didn't drill from the front, I drilled from the back, and I didn't go all the way through. So it's almost all the way through, but just enough to get the lights in there. And you can see that they fit flush up against the back of the inside of the cab. Drill holes for windshield wipers. So I've got holes drilled here. These holes for the double arm. I'm not the double arm, but the ones that are tied together like this. Holes drilled here, here, and here. So we took care of that. Cut off the door handles because I'll be replacing them excuse me, with precision scale door handles. So I got door handle cut off there and the door handle cut off here. Fill horn holes. You can see I filled the horn holes and trim the filled horn holes, which I did. One thing I didn't have on here is to trim off the I should have put that on there, but anyways, I had to trim off the the weld bead that ties the number boards to the cab. That's actually the first thing that needs to be done before I trim off the light housing, because it'll sit like this in the mill. Oh, I'm sorry, no, it'll sit like that in the mill. But when I do the hump under the number boards, it'll sit like this. No, it won't. I keep giving you the wrong information. It'll sit like that and mill that way. So anyway, disregard all that I said about that. When you need to trim this off, it just needs to be trimmed off, because actually it breaks here to here and it needs to go all the way across. So I have to rebuild that back on there. So that takes care of the GP28 cabs. You can see that I've got all of these checked off here. No problem at all. So that's taken care of. I need to do another cue card for what I need to do on those. Now let's go to the GP30 rebuild card. So we have trim off headlight housing. Same thing, trim off the headlight housing right here. Then we have fill hole in top of cab roof. So I've got the hole filled up here. That was where the horn used to be. Sand smooth the cab roof, so I've trimmed that and sanded it smooth. Fill grab iron holes in the face of the cab. That would be these grab iron holes right here. Finish smooth filled holes in the face of the cab. You can see that I've cut what I've filled into it. Basically what I did is I took a piece of styrene, dipped it in CA, and put it into the hole, let it cure, and cut it off and smooth it down. Same as I did for here. Let's see, remove door handles, same thing, remove the door handle here, and remove the door handle back here. They'll be replaced with the precision scale door handles. Drill holes for windshield wipers, same thing as on the EMD 28, so I got hole there, a hole here, and I've got the hole here, 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 and here. Fill grab iron holes in nose piece. Okay, so we're moving on to the nose. So I've got those filled. You can see there. And I have to trim those off. And then cut the rear cab step out and leave a shelf. That you can see right there. So that takes pretty much care of the deconstruction of the cab. And we're ready to reconstruct it, so I can throw that cue card away, and I need to make a new one for the wreck rebuild. Now, what needs to go, or what needs to be done next? On these cabs, on the GP28 cabs, I can go ahead and just rebuild them. I'm going to just do that. Those really won't be on film. I'll show you when I'm done rebuilding what I've done, but it's almost exactly the same as what you saw on the GP35 build. The only difference is it will have a overlap joint running down the middle of the cab. So that takes care of that. Now, on the wreck rebuild cab, I think I talked about early on that all of this needs to get glued together along with the hood before I can paint the exterior. So what needs to happen next is I need to build the interior. The interior is going to get glued in. As you can see, I've cut the front wall off the Kato interior, and that is because the cab has this angle to it, and if you look in there you'll see that wall going straight across. On a GP30, let me zoom out, I keep getting off of camera. On a GP30, the inside of the cab follows this angle at the front of the cab. But I cannot put that angle in because on the GP35 drive, the worm gear comes up right here. You can't see it when you look in the window, but that's where the worm gear is. So if I put that angle in there, it would interfere with the worm gear, or the worm gear, you know, enclosure and all that stuff. So we're just going to leave it like that. What I do need to do is I need to cut these wings off on the back of the interior, because you can see those through this back window. Again, this has an angle to it, so I'll just cut those flush. Then what I'm going to do, since this sticks out a little bit into the cab, and if you look through the back windows you can kind of see it, I'll just build a piece that a wing that comes back and then hides that opening there, so that's no big deal. You won't be able to see anything up top. So once I get that done, then I'll grit blast this and I'll get it painted, and it'll look pretty much like the GP28 interiors. Just look like that. Put that back. So once that's done, the sub base is already done. I had finished that a while ago. So the sub base is done. It's got the I think I showed you, it's got the tread plate cut into the top, so it's properly in place. And I've got the etch step here. The rear step will come off of the cab here, and then once all this is glued together, it'll all look like it was made to be like that, and all the gaps will be closed up. So once I get this done, it'll get glued in securely. Then I need to work on the inside of the cab. I need to build a block right in here for the headlights, and I'll get the headlights put into there, and then I can paint the interior of the cab, and then I can put the windows in. They're the A and B windows, so I'll put the windows in, and I'll put the number boards in. The number boards are going to be painted black anyway, so they can just sit there like that. But the windows have tape over them. They come that way from A and B, so I'll peel off the tape from the inside of the windows, but I'll leave the tape on the outside, the masking, and that way then I can, once I finish all that, I can glue all of this together like that. And of course the nose first, you know, the nose has to go on here, and then I can glue all of this together. And of course I'll get these pieces all trimmed off, and I get the nose all done before I glue it all together. So when it's all done, it'll look just like that. So that's what I'm going to work on now. All the steps I told you I'm going to do. I'm going to work on the interior of the cab, get the whole interior done so I can get this all glued together and start working on it. Because once these cabs are done, there's really not a whole lot to do to the 28s. Those, the hoods are almost done. I just have to do the grab irons on those. On this, it'll be kind of fun working on this because there's some stuff I have to do in here. But right now we'll just get these 3 cabs done, and that'll take care of a lot of the work, and we'll move on to some more fun stuff. So I'll go ahead and work on this. I'll get it done. Maybe come back a few times here and there to show you what's going on with it, and just keep forging ahead and see if we can't get these done before the end of the year. All right, so in the last session, I explained what I needed to do and the things that I needed to do to deconstruct the cabs, basically, and get them ready for rebuilding. So now it's time to rebuild them, and I've done that. There's nothing that I needed to show, like process-wise. It's all very basic and easy, but let me go over what was done. So the first one, we'll go over the EMD GP28s. So, what I needed to do first here, we got the build the LED lights, which I've done. Here's one, and here's the other one. Wait, I don't know. This one's for the GP30, And these two are for the GP35s. And the reason I know that is because the length of the tube is a little bit shorter. I cut them short. So what I do is to cut them short is I mark where I need to cut them, then I put them in the mill, and I milled them down. I think it was 60 thousandths. Once that's done, that makes a really clean cut so it's not all scratchy and such. And then when that's done, I just polish them on my blue jeans. Go across them really fast and it polishes them up. Not like to a high gloss luster, but it polishes them up enough to take away some of that dullness. So I got the LEDs light, or the LEDs built. Then I painted them. You can see they're black, so now there's no light will show through. I've got the tubes all taped off, so there's just black on the back portion there. All right, trim out the middle rail on the sunshade. Well, actually, I just trimmed out the whole sunshade bracket because these units will not have sunshades. So I've got the bracket trimmed out here for both units. I'm only showing you this one because both of them are exactly the same. So I've got that trimmed out there. Laying the roof overlap weld joints. So that, let me take this horn off of there. So that's these overlap weld joints here. Now, this one here, which you can see goes to where the horn flat is, this one is 1.5 inches wide. So that's 17 thousandths, 0.017. This one is 2 inches wide, the part that goes between the two number board pieces. That is, 2 inches wide, which is 0.023. And this one is, I believe it's 3 inches wide or 3.5. Real quick, let me just check. I don't want to give you wrong information. I thought I had it. I thought I had it all memorized, but fat chance on that one. So give me a moment. I'm sorry. Just I'll keep talking. Let me see, where is that at? I have notes all over the place, and it's in my special notebook here. Oh man, sorry guys, I'm hurrying. Here we go. Okay, oh yeah, this one is 2.5 inches wide, which is basically 30 thousandths. It's like 0.028, something like that, so it's 30 thousandths. And I did all that in 5,000 styrene. Okay, so I got that part done. So that's laying the rooftop overlap weld joints, install the antenna. You see I have a Sinclair antenna here. Drill horn hole, got that. And the horn will be the Details West Leslie horn. It's the number 373 air horn, Leslie low profile manifold bracket. So it's a low profile horn. And that'll get glued on after everything's painted, because with the horn in place, it's hard to get a nice even coat of paint underneath it. So no big deal there. And the horn will be painted separately as well. Install light housing. That's this up on the front here. So we got this Detail Associates piece here. Did I say the horn was Detail Associates? Detail is West 373. I can't remember if I said it right or not. Okay, so we installed the light housing. Drill holes for wind deflectors. So I've got the holes drilled here, here, and here, and same on the other side. So I got that done. And install the door handles. So I got a door handle here, and of course one on the back there. Those are precision scale. So that takes care of this cab, and I've got the interior of it. I've got it all painted, and it's ready to have the A and B windows put in it. So that will be my next step, is to put the A and B windows, which will be these windows here. And I'll put those in before I paint the cab, and I'll leave the tape on the outside face, but I'll mask off all of the inside so no paint gets on the inside of the cab. Now for the fun part, the GP30 rec rebuild. So that takes care of the focus is not on the EMD GP28s, but more or less on the GP30 rec rebuild. And I think you might find this interesting. So let me pull it off the shell here. So here we go with the GP30 rec rebuild cab. So what do we need to do for that? Build the LED lights, which I showed you. It's the same as the GP35s, except this tube is a little bit longer. Paint the LED lights, which you saw they were painted black. Modify the number boards. Okay, so what I mean by modifying the number boards, since this is number board is all one piece, the light tubes used to come out through here. So what I did is I cut the light tubes out and I cut a channel in it, because on the inside of the cab I built the light block where the LED lights will slide into and stuff. So this will slide right over that light housing. If I could see, I got to put my optivisors on here. I think I got too much paint on here. There we go. That slides in. So I'll be pushing that on and gluing it in place, but that goes over the light housing. That's what this. Yeah, I painted this recently, so I'm going to have to be careful with that. But anyway, so that's where this channel is. It fits over the light housing right here, this cavity here. And then this will all glue in, and the lights will be up here, so this is kind of like a light shield also. Even though I painted the lights, I just want to make sure, and this will go up in the top. I still have to paint the bottom of this the same cab color interior as this. I forgot to do that, so that's what I'll do next after this video. What's next? I think I showed you the cab interior, but I don't think I have that on here. No, I don't. Okay, so let's go over the cab interior real quick. This is a Kato cab interior. I cut the front wall off, and I cannot build the wall in here because the worm gear comes almost right up to the front of the cab floor. So you don't really see this at all in there. So the cab interior is glued to the floor of the sub base, and then I built this little box back here because the way that the GP30 cab is on the inside, it's kind of open in the back here. So I built this box to kind of fill it in, so that when you see through the window, you don't see the interior, you know, back in behind the seats and stuff like that. It's not like you'd have to get really down close to this thing and look inside to see any of the openings. So that's what takes care of the inside of there. So that's modify the number boards. Okay, the other thing I had to do is I had to cut this cavity right here. I don't think I put that in there also. So I had to cut this, or this channel right here, so the LED lights would fit in. Let me tell you something. That was a painful job, literally painful. This cab roof is so thin that when I was pushing the blade, it went right through the roof and really deep into my finger right here. Ooh, that was painful. But everything's good now, and I can use the finger again. So that was taken care of. I had to repair it on the roof and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, crap. And I was thinking of putting like a Spartan cab on there. I thought it would really be cool, like BN did the GP39Es and stuff. I said, nope, I'm going with the GP30 cab. So I repaired the cab, and everything's good. So let's move on. Modify the number boards, add rooftop overlap and weld joints. Okay, this is interesting. And I don't think a lot of people know about this. So this is more information than anything else. I've never seen it modeled. I've seen this on, I believe it's 3 or 4 different GP30s. So in my book, this is standard on GP30s. This is a Phase 1 GP30 cab. On a Phase 2 GP30 cab, these reinforcing ribs are different. So let me zoom in on this. Get a better look at that. All right, so this is your standard 1.5 inch overlap joint. There's a very small weld joint that goes right down the middle of the number board and light housing area, right back to this overlap joint. Then you've got the standard 2.5 inch lap joint here as well. Now what people don't notice, because you cannot see it on your typical photographs that people take, overhead shots, you know, from a distance stuff, you have to be right on top of these things to see this. And I've had the pleasure of walking the roof line of quite a few GP30s, and it's on all of them. On the Phase 1 GP30 cab, these reinforcing lines, these are punched into or pressed into the top of the roof. They're not weld joints. They're stiffening ribs. So from the center line here to the outside edge, you divide that into 3 pieces and you mark the points. On the Phase 1 and the Phase 2, these points are at the same place. On the Phase 1, this outer line follows the angle of the cab. Then this line here, you divide from here to here into 3 parts, and this line goes from the center here to the center back here, and the same for the other side. Now on a Phase 2 GP30, these reinforcing ribs are parallel with the center weld joint, so they would just run straight back. So that's the difference between a Phase 1 and a Phase 2 GP30 roof. So I just wanted to give you that piece of information. I've always wanted to do this, and now I have the opportunity to add that little detail in there. I like it a lot. I think it looks pretty cool. And quite honest, and not quite honestly, but actually, these reinforcing marks don't go all the way to the back. They stop about 1 inch from the back of the cab and the front here, but I don't really care. I just put them all in. That's 10,000 styrene rod from Plastruct, and actually these reinforcing ribs are about 1/2 inch to 5/8 inches wide, but I'm not proficient at stretching sprue evenly all the way down, so I just use 10,000ths styrene rod from Plastruct. What I did is I drew a line along here, and then I used a scribing tool and scribed it, and then I used a 2mm wide or a 0.02 millimeter wide scribing tool. I think it's 0.02. Let me see, 0.2 or 0.02? I'm sorry, 0.2 millimeter wide scribing tool, and scribed a channel enough to allow the 10,000ths rod to stick up just a little bit. So it's not a full round, it's more like a half round, and that's what I wanted to show. So that takes care of the rooftop there. So now it says drill the horn hole. Well, I don't know if I'm going to put a horn on the cab or on the back of the long hood here. So I'm waiting for the horn to come in to see what the type that I have. If the one that's coming in is I like it, then it's going to go right here, and I'll put a plug on this side where the horn would have been on this side also. And but if I'm not going to put the horn up here, then I'll put 2 plugs in here, and then the shop move the horn to like back here or maybe here. I have what I made for my EJ&E SD38-2s. I have this horn bracket here. So it's got little half etch marks in it so that I can bend it into shape, and this is the tool I use to bend it into shape, and it'll give it that triangle shape with a flat on the top, and I can solder the horn into that hole right in there. This there's 2 holes that, or 1 hole at each end. I'll solder a pin into those holes, and this piece of brass is used to locate where those holes will be in the hood. So that's what if I decide to put the horn back here. But I'm pretty sure that the horn coming in is one that I'll really like, so it's going to go right here. It's an Athearn horn, and it's a Leslie horn, but the bells are kind of more, they're not as spread out as your typical Leslie. They're kind of stacked more, and I think it'll look really good right there. So we'll see how that goes. I got the antenna installed, drill the horn hole, I just talked about that. Install the light housing, that's what I showed you on the inside. Oh, I'm sorry, that's this again, the light housing here. And what I don't have on my list is to put this grab iron on the face of the cab. So that's bronze wire. And then just like I showed you how I did my grab iron NBWs, I use the same, these guys here, I can't remember, PBL, the PBL NBWs, these things here, like I showed you on the Pennsylvania GP35, how I use those, and those are on there as well, so that's taken care of. Okay, I got drill the holes for the wind deflectors, I got those in there. Install the door handles, I got the same precision scale door handles here, and again back here. Install the rear cab step. A while ago, with a bunch of test etches that I was doing, I made these etchings for the rear step on the Proto 2000. Let me see if I can get this in focus. On the Proto 2000 GP30. So that's this back step that you see right there. So I got that installed. I had to, I don't think I have it on here, but drill the hole. Oh, I already drilled, that was in the last session, drill the holes for the windshield wipers, which are on there. So I got that taken care of. And that's it. So this cab is ready for windows, and I've got the interior painted as I showed you before. So it's ready for the A and B windows. I had a pack of A and B windows, but I can't find them. I lost them. So today I ordered 4 more packs. And when those come in, I can continue on with this build. But in the meantime, I need to go paint this the same color as the cab interior, and I want to paint the lighthouse or the LEDs the same color as the cab interior. So I'll get those done. I forgot to do those. The next items to be done are, of course, the nose, which I've done. The nose on the EMD units are the straight GP28s. It gets locked in here somehow. There we go. So let me talk about this one. So this one is very basic. I filled the holes with styrene rod. I can throw these papers away now. I need to make new note cards. So I filled the holes with styrene rod, drilled them out, used Tichy straight grabs. GP30 has all straight grabs. There's no drop grabs on it, so I use the Tichy straight grabs. And the only thing I did to them is I sharpened up the corners, so I put them into a flat nose pliers and just pressed them up against the glass to sharpen the corners on there. So I've got those in there, and then again I use the same NBWs for the grab irons. That's the sand hatch from the standard Proto 2000 model, and for the brake pump, I'll be using a Cannon & Company brake pump for that. So I've got that built and ready to go. And all I need to do is get these windows in, and then I can get all of this glued together. So once I get the windows in, I'll get all of this glued together. It won't be painted or primed because I still have to glue the hood on. So this will all fit, of course, on like that. And once I get to this point, then I can glue it all together. Now, keep in mind, the windows will be masked on the outside, so I don't have to worry about paint getting on the inside. I will still mask underneath just to make sure no paint residue gets in there. But once I get all of this glued together and detailed, then I can put a full coat of primer gray on it and then get it all painted. And once it's all painted and all the decals and all the clear coats are on, then I can take the masking off the windows and such. And once that's done, of course, then it'll get glued onto the subframe. Not the subframe, but the sill unit. So that takes care of getting these cabs ready. So I've got three models moving along really well. So the cabs are all done except for, of course, paint. These EMD or straight 28 cabs, they will get painted black. I don't need to glue them to anything or anything like that. So I've got the windows, so I'm going to get the windows in there. I'll get them all painted black. I'll get the number boards painted with the numbers on, get those in, and get these cabs all done. This cab, of course, will not be done until I get the hood done. So that takes care of that. Well, that pretty much takes care of the cabs on all three of these models. So, of course, the next step, as I mentioned, is to get the cab windows in, and on the straight 38s, the straight 28s, get those cabs painted and get them completed and done. So all I have to do is work on the hood on that one. On the Rec Rebuild GP30, of course, it's just to get the windows in and then get everything, the nose, sub base, and cab glued together. So that in the next session, you'll see all of that done, and I will start working on the hoods. So I hope you enjoyed that, maybe got some good information out of it, maybe some tips that you might want to try, or some details you might want to lay in. So if you made it this far and you're enjoying this, I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, please just ask, and I'll read your comments or questions and reply to them. So again, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.